Dear students, so far we have studied the copolymerization kinetics, in which how the monomer feed alters the speed of a chemical reaction. So we have deduced a copolymer equation in which we have a term called reactivity ratio, that is R1 and R2. R1 is K11 by K12. R2 is K22 by K21. So R1 and R2 are said to be the reactivity ratio in a copolymer system. What is reactivity ratio? It is nothing but the reactivity of one monomer to that of another monomer. I have told you that in a copolymerization mechanism or a system, the monomer feed is different from that of a copolymer composition in many cases. That means one monomer predominates over the other monomer in a system. So in a system of vinyl chloride and methacrylate, either methacrylate predominates over the vinyl chloride or vinyl chloride predominates over the methacrylate in the polymer composition, copolymer composition. So reactivity R1 means the rate constant of first monomer reacting to the same monomer to that of a other monomer, second monomer. That is reactivity of first monomer to the reacting to the same or to the other. R2 means rate constant of reactivity of second monomer reacting to the same or to the other one. That is second monomer to the second monomer to second monomer to the first monomer. So this is a very important input for us to know what kind of copolymerization system is obtained. Okay, say for example whether it is an ideal system or alternate system, or whether the polymer obtained is a black copolymer or a Kraft copolymer, or the polymer obtained is a azeotropic mixer. Okay, so all these informations can be derived from the reactivity ratio. Okay, so if the reactivity R1 is greater than 1, if R1 is greater than 1, then the reactivity of first monomer is dominant. So in the copolymer composition, there will be more number of M1 than M2. If R1 is less than 1, then the reactivity of first monomer M1 is less than the second monomer. That is, in the copolymer system, the second monomer dominates. In the copolymer composition, the second monomer is found more than the first monomer. Okay, so if a system R1 R2 is equal to 1, that is, if R1 is equal to 1 by R2 or R2 is equal to 1 by R1. So this is a case of an ideal system. This is a case of an ideal system in which an azeotropic mixture is formed. Okay, so what is an ideal system? The ideal system is the one where the monomer feed is the same in the polymer, copolymer blend. Okay, copolymer composition. The monomer feed, whatever monomer feed that you are giving it, is found in the copolymer manner, copolymer. So therefore, if you give 50 moles of M1 and 50 moles of M2, the copolymer consists of 50 of M1 and 50 of M2. That is an ideal system, which is very rare to obtain. But in most of the system, you will have the other values. Okay. So if the system is alternate, when R1 is equal to R2 is equal to 0. In such cases, you will have a copolymer of composition M1, M2, M1, M2, M1, such like that. Okay. So each monomer prefers to add to the other monomer. So M1 prefers to add to M2, M2 prefers to add M1, and M1 prefers to add M2, M2 prefers to add. So that you will have an alternate system like this. Okay. So if R1 and R2 is greater than 1, if R1 and R2 is greater than 1, then the system will be a black copolymer. In this case, you will have a sequence of first monomer, then sequence of second monomer, followed by the first monomer, like this. Okay, so polymers will be copolymer will have blocks of the both the monomers M1, 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 M2, 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 then M1, M1, M2. So like this, you will have a block copolymer. Okay. So a system in which R1 is less than 1 and R2 is greater than 1. Okay, a system in which R1 is less than 1 and R2 is greater than 1. In such a system, copolymer will be richer in M2. So when R1 is less than 1, R2 greater than 1, the resulting copolymer will be richer in M2. Okay. So if R1 is greater than 1, R2 is less than 1. So in such a case, copolymer composition will be richer in M1. Okay. So if R1 is greater than 1 and R2 is also greater than 1, what will happen if R1 is greater than 1 and R2 is also greater than 1? So such a system will never exist. Okay. So you will not find a reactivity ratio of both R1 and R2 greater than 1. Okay. So you have this is the first system. When R1 is greater than 1, the copolymer will be richer in M1. When R1 is less than 1, the copolymer is richer in M2. Ideal system where R1 and R2 is equal to 1. So you will get an azeotropic mixture where the monomer feed is the same as that of a copolymer in the composition. So number 4 is the alternate system where R1 is equal to R2 is equal to 0. In such a case, you will have an alternating copolymer. So in case 5, R1, R2 is greater than 1, you will get a black copolymer. Case 6, when R1 is less than 1, R2 is greater than 1, so you will find a copolymer which is richer in M2. Okay, and lesser than the M1 is less, M2 is richer. So the system 7 in which R1 is greater than 1, R2 is less than 1, the copolymer will be richer in M1. So system 8, such a system do not exist where both R1 and R2 is greater than 1. So I have made a plot for the mole fraction of monomer 1 in the monomer feed. against to mole fraction of monomer 1 in copolymer composition. So I have made a plot between mole fraction of monomer 1 in the monomer feed, mole fraction of monomer 1 in the copolymer composition. Okay, so that is a plot between monomer feed and the monomer in the copolymer composition. I mean in the product. Okay, how much of monomer you are giving in the as a feed. Okay, and how much of the same monomer is available or present in the copolymer. Okay, so this plot will give you about the different systems with the different reactivity ratios. Okay, so you can find there are A, B, C, 5 systems here and 2 points. Okay, F and G are the azeotropic points. These 5 different systems have been depicted in the diagram. So first let us see the system 1A, where R1 is greater than 1 and R2 is lesser than 1. So in that case, the monomer, the copolymer is richer in first monomer. R1 is greater than 1 in the sense the copolymer is richer in M1. Okay, and the copolymer is having less mole fraction of the second monomer. Okay, and then you can see the opposite one D, where you can this comes in the other side. So where R1 is less than 1, R2 is greater than 1. Just opposite to that of the first one A, where the copolymer is richer in second monomer than the first monomer. Okay. So in between you have R1 equal to R2 is equal to 1. This comes here. Okay, the B comes here. So where the monomer mole fraction M1 is maintaining a linearity into the copolymer composition. Okay, so in that case, when R1 is equal to R2 is equal to 1, it is said to be an ideal system. It is said to be an ideal system where the monomer feed is the same as in the copolymer composition. Okay, then you can see system C where R1 is equal to R2, which is less than 1. So in such a case, okay, you will find a curve here C. The curve goes here and then it takes a bend and then it reaches here. Okay, and then D where R1 is less than 1, R2 is greater than 1. So this system, this we have already explained. So it's system E, R1 and R2 both are lesser than 1. Okay, where R1 is lesser than R2. In such a case, you have this kind of curve. Okay, so I have mentioned here 2 points F and G. These are nothing but azeotropic composition, where you will find exactly the monomer feed in the monomer in the monomer feed and the monomer in the copolymer composition are almost equal or same. Okay, so this we have learned in the reactivity ratio and copolymer system about the different kind of system. Okay, like the system is whether a ideal system or alternating system or a block copolymer. Okay, or the system it gives you the azeotropic mixture. Okay, so from the reactivity ratio we will be able to ascertain different type of copolymer system. Okay, I hope that this copolymer equation and this diagram will be very much helpful for you to understand on this topic. Okay, so with this we will pass on to some topics which you must know about on the polymer science. Okay, so like glass transition temperature and crystallinity. Okay, although it it is not given to you in the syllabus. So it is very essential for a person who studies about a polymeric material to know these properties. Okay. So what is glass transition temperature? The glass transition temperature is usually mentioned by or denoted by the symbol Tg. Okay, G in the subscript. Okay, so this is a thermal, very important thermal property which will be helpful for you in choosing the polymeric material for application, and it will be helpful for you to know which kind of processing technique is to be adopted for a molding and other aspects. So so when you take a solid material, a metal, and heat up the metal, so the metal will gets heated up and melts at a particular temperature. That means it remains solid up to a particular temperature. Once the melting point is reached, the metal will melt and flow into a liquid. Okay, so that particular point we call it as the melting point. But as far as polymer is concerned, the polymer exhibits a different property than the metal upon heating. Okay, the polymer doesn't immediately melts and flow. So the polymer remains rigid or brittle at low temperature, and when you melt the polymeric material or when you heat up the polymeric material, first the polymer will tend to become a elastic. It tends to become a viscoelastic property, becomes rubbery by nature. From brittle nature, the polymer turns to become a rubbery nature. Okay, so that we call it as a viscoelastic nature. Okay, so the particular temperature at which the polymer turns from glassy state to a rubbery state, from a brittle state to a viscoelastic state, is called a glass transition temperature. So if you further heat the polymer beyond the glass transition temperature, then a state will obtain where the polymer starts to flow. Okay, flow as a liquid. So that particular temperature is called a flow temperature, called a TF. Okay, so I hope you have understood what is a glass transition temperature. Okay, this is the temperature at which a rigid glassy polymeric material or plastic becomes a soft and a rubbery natured polymer. That is called a glass transition temperature. Okay, flow temperature is the one at which the viscoelastic polymer or rubbery polymer melts into a liquid, melts to flow as liquid. So that particular temperature is called a flow temperature. Okay, so this property is very much helpful in the thermal characterization of any polymeric material. So higher the glass transition temperature, okay, higher its stability. Okay, so it withstands more temperature. The polymer withstands more withstand at highly elevated or a higher temperature. There are many factors which will affect the glass transition temperature of the polymer. Number one is the molecular weight. Okay, the molecular weight of the polymer plays a greater role in the glass transition temperature. Higher the molecular weight, greater is the glass transition temperature. Okay, so when the molecular weight increases, the polymer chains, there will be greater polymeric chains polymer length of the polymeric chain increases, also there will be the movement of the polymeric chain is arrested upon heating. Okay, so glass transition, another important property which restricts the glass transition temperature. What is what happens during this transition from glassy to viscoelastic state is that the polymers are held tightly. In the rigid state, the polymeric chains are held tightly by either by van der Waals force of attraction between the two chains of polymer. There will be a van der Waals force of attraction or some kind of a electric attraction do take place. Okay, between electronegative atom and a positive atom, in the chains, between the two chains, there will be a force of attraction. So when the temperature is applied, what happens? These forces tends to become weaker, and at one stage the forces disappear, so that one chain, one polymeric chain can move flexibly or freely over the other chain. Okay, so in that case, when the other chains moves freely, then the polymer will turn from rigid or brittle state to a viscoelastic state. Okay, so the force of attraction between the two polymeric chains are very, very important. Okay, so what increases this force of attraction between the polymers? So if you have electronegative atoms like amino groups, okay, hydroxyl groups or carboxylic groups in the polymer chains, then this will naturally exhibit a negative or a polar attraction. So this makes the polymer to be very much rigid and attached. So even upon applying the temperature, the polymeric chains will hesitate to move. So do not move freely. So therefore it absorbs more energy. It requires more energy for the chains to move. As a result, the glass transition temperature of the polymer increases. Okay. So the force of attraction between the polymer plays polymeric chain plays a very important role in the glass transition temperature. And number two is the backbone. Okay, polymeric backbone. I have explained you what is meant by polymeric backbone. So just like a person who stands by his backbone, it gives him the strength to stand. So polymer chains has got atoms, okay, sequence of atoms at the backbone. Like see this, if I take ethylene, so this carbon this is the backbone of the ethylene atom. Okay, so this plays a very important role in the glass transition temperature. If the backbone is held by heteroatoms, say for example nitrogen or oxygen, okay, then the chain movement is restricted. Okay, it will exert better attractive force between the two layers. Okay, and other very important property which affects the glass transition temperature is the rigidity of the material. Say for example, you have a polystyrene. Okay, see this. So this polymer chain is a rigid when compared to ethylene because it consists of a bulkier phenyl group between the chain. Okay, so this will not allow the chains to move. So if suppose you have a neighboring chain here, so you have a neighboring chain here like this. Okay, okay, so you have a neighboring chain like this. These two are the chain. This is the first chain and the second chain. So the movement of chain is restricted. Okay, its movement of chain is restricted. So this phenyl or bulkier group will not allow this first chain to move very randomly or very fast. So therefore, the presence of bulkier groups in the side chains of the polymer is another important factor which decides the glass transition temperature. So polymers with the bulkier groups naturally possess a greater glass transition temperature. Okay, and then the stereo specificity of a polymer is another important factor. Okay, so there are polymers called a stereo specific polymer. That is the stereo specificity of the polymer is arrived by orientation of the side chains or bulky groups present in the chains. Okay, so like there are three types of stereo specific polymer. They are isotactic polymer, syndiotactic polymer, or a atactic polymer. If the bulkier groups are oriented on the same side, okay, then it is called a isotactic polymer. So this is an isotactic polymer because bulkier groups are oriented all downwards. Okay, it is an isotactic polymer. Syndiotactic polymers where the bulkier groups are oriented opposite. Okay, then it is called a syndiotactic polymer. Atactic polymer where the bulkier groups are arranged alternative or random, it is called atactic polymer. So the stereo specificity of a polymer chain is another very important aspect in designing the glass transition temperature of the polymer. Okay, so in this session we had two topics. One is the copolymer reactivity ratio, okay, and then glass transition temperature. Okay, glass transition temperature is the temperature at which the polymer changes from glassy or brittle state to a rubbery viscoelastic state. Okay, the glass transition temperature of the polymer plays an important role in choosing the polymer for various processes. The different factors which influence the glass transition temperature are molecular weight, nature of the monomer, the presence of functional group, then presence of backbone, and the stereo specific nature of the polymers. Okay, I hope you have thoroughly understood these two areas, and if you have any questions, you can post it in the comment box. So I am getting only a few comments, only few, and almost very less questions are being asked by you. I request the postgraduate students to raise more questions so that I am able to understand whether I am able to know whether you have understood the topic or not. So with this I am closing this topic. Thank you.